Hey everybody, Stinger here. I want to invite you to a pretty cool podcast.
Watch this film. Be quite nice. Have a good time. Be very evil. And you'll love that Danhausen.
Hey, this is Big Sexy Kevin Nash.
Yes, it is I, Big E, but more importantly, it is you.
And you might remember me from such YouTube greats as Being the Elite and Chris Daniels Almost Dies.
And if you're looking for the very best wrestling content, you better come to Good Mic Work Commentaries.
And I'm just going to tell you now, as a role model, you got to tune into this because if you also want to be a role model, you got to learn from the best.
We have a rapport. And we have been so close over so many years. This is not a cameo or a paid endorsement in any regard. This is a message of friendship.
Man, we met 20 years ago, 21 years ago now. Time is flying, isn't it?
I want to wish you all the best in your YouTube channel, and hopefully I can maybe make a special guest appearance on there sometime.
And I used to say, hey, Greg Morgan. And he used to say, please call me Greg, and I wouldn't do it.
Good mic work. Commentaries.
Awesome YouTube channel. Now, if you've seen these videos before, you know what I'm talking about.
We would do verbal chain wrestling. You know, we'd be off in the yard, the schoolyard at recess.
And he's also a 40-year-old wrestling fan. That's a long damn time.
And we'd just be staring at each other, and he'd say, hammerlock. And I'd say, all right, I've reversed the hammerlock into a hammerlock of my own, then I put you in a headlock. And, you know, that would go on for hours.
He's not going to fill your head with bullshit. He's going to tell you real deal, what's up, and that's that.
Raw, Smackdown, NXT. This guy covers it all, my friends. I want you to go to his page, Good Mic Work on YouTube.
Check out Good Mic Work Commentaries on YouTube.
But we would have fun. We would run around. There would be a wooden hoop we would hit with a stick, and it would go down a hill.
I'm about to go and watch a few videos myself.
It's a very practical apparatus.
We're really lacking in the world right now with some people that have a freaking brain cells.
And now look at him. He has more YouTube views and subscribers than I do, and I'm fine with it because I played such an integral role in his upbringing.
Don't you dare be sour.
We always talked about wrestling. He was a big Lou Thez guy, and of course I had an affectation for the Hackenschmidts.
Clap for Good Mic Work Commentaries.
This is RJ City, a wrestling rock on tour.
And feel the power.
Listen to the podcast. Subscribe.
You are watching Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Just want to encourage all you guys to check out Good Mic Work Commentaries.
And if you don't, we're going to have a problem.
Do it!
Do it.
Do it now!
Thanks a lot for the encomium and the nice words about my father's Hall of Fame induction.
Hope our paths cross again sometime down the road. Would love to shake your hand again, and good luck on this podcast.
And you don't just watch it one time. You can rewatch every single one of them.
And now, Good Mic Work Commentaries and Greg Morgan presents the Winged Eagle Podcast.
The Big Four is no more. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to your Winged Eagle podcast for, what is it? November. Sorry, I almost said October. November 6th, 2021. Good to see y'all on a happy Saturday afternoon. Got some big news, WWE related in terms of Survivor Series. They went ahead and just announced the men's and women's teams for Survivor Series on fucking Twitter, despite the fact that they got 3 hours of Raw to fill that's usually filled with a bunch of nonsense, stupid, pointless segments and promos and shit we just don't need. They could have filled some of this time here by filling these teams throughout the next several weeks before we even get to Survivor Series. But no, they did it today on social media, so that is going to be a big part of this podcast today. In addition to that, we're going to talk a little bit more about the fallout of this past week's WWE releases. For those of you who have not heard my comments on that, we did a live stream yesterday where we detailed and chronicled all the releases and talked about them individually and the circumstances and all that shit. So check out yesterday's stream if you want to hear all of that, but we will follow up on that today. Last night's Rampage was so goddamn fun. 1 hour of great action, so fast, so easy to watch. So fun. Might even be my favorite television show across all wrestling companies right now. And CM Punk and Eddie Kingston, I think, had segment and promo of the fucking year last night. So we're going to talk all about that. Also, Smackdown, even though it was very, very much an empty show, did not have a whole lot there to sink your teeth into or a lot of substance. It still wasn't bad. Like, there was some decent stuff from last night's Smackdown as well. So I thought AEW and WWE both delivered pretty solid shows. I think AEW was a touch more fun because SmackDown felt a lot like Raw in a lot of ways, but we got some fun stuff. And any reservations I once had about maybe giving Xavier Woods the King of the Ring crown because he politicked for it, that all went out the window last night and, in the previous weeks since winning the crown. He's fantastic, and I love kind of this new version of the New Day. They have something else to do and something to keep them fresh, and I was a little bit hesitant about it. I mean, we all love Xavier. I wanted him to win the crown, but I was like, is that fair just to go around and say you want it for so long? But he's making it fun, and I just didn't think a babyface could make that fun, and he's doing it. So last night was pretty fun with the Roman and Xavier and Jimmy Uso stuff and a couple of other decent matches on there as well. We'll talk some ratings for the week. We're going to run through the entire Full Gear card as well. Looks like this card is pretty much set. Go-home shows are next week, Dynamite and Rampage, and we have the pay-per-view, I believe, 1 week from today, correct? Isn't it the 13th? I think it's a Saturday this year, right, for Full Gear. So we're going to be here talking about that. And next week, we won't be here for the Winged Eagle, but we'll be here after Full Gear for a full show review. Looks like I've got about 8-9 matches set for this thing. They probably aren't going to add any more. If they do, one at the most. And the rest of that will all be set up and the table will be set this Wednesday and Friday, even a contract signing set for Wednesday. So that looks good. So that's kind of what's on the menu. A lot of shooting the shit here. We got into a lot of stuff yesterday, so this will be a pretty small or shorter Winged Eagle this week, probably an hour and a half at the most. I want to shout out some patrons at first. I want to let you guys know what to expect from this channel this week coming up on Full Gear Week. And I want to answer a couple of super chats from yesterday that I missed. I apologize for that. I've got a lot of mods and monkey wrenches in here now, so if any gravy sweating cousin fuckers show up in the chat again, please neutralize them. I will block them, and I've set some filters to keep those at bay. And I think when we were dealing with that asshole yesterday, I missed 2 or 3, maybe even 4 super chats, so I'll knock all those out as well, and it'll be a fun, happy little conversation there. Divine Ricks, thank you, man. Good to see you. Welcome back. Thanks for the $5. Hey, Greg, happy Saturday. I'm definitely looking forward to AEW Full Gear more than Survivor Series this year. Such a lazy build for Survivor Series. That's going to be the word of the day. What makes me so mad, we're going to get into it in a minute, but what makes me so annoyed about WWE announcing this is just the jaw-dropping laziness. There's just so many better ways. Not that we give a shit. I hate the Survivor Series. I don't care about brand supremacy. I mean, the entire Raw team was on SmackDown 2 weeks ago. The entire Raw team, all 5 guys. What the fuck are they even fighting for? It's so stupid. And for the WWE to think that the fans give a fuck between red and blue, I don't give a fuck, WWE. I cannot stress that enough. I mean, it would maybe be a little bit more interesting if it was Fox versus USA. They're probably going to have to do a tie here. It's probably going to have to be even Steven just so the networks won't crawl up their asses. So it's just stupid. Nobody needs this. We don't need it. Like I said, the big 4 is no more. I think there's a big 3 now. Rumble, SummerSlam, and Mania. That's it. This is nonsense. So we'll get into it and rip WWE apart for that in due time this afternoon. Other than that, everybody else that's in here, hello. Do me a favor, smash the thumbs up button if you don't mind. Little Justin and Charlie and Ben, Big J, Divine, Red Raven, Jet the Hawk, Aubrey, James, Miles Muhammad, David Brown in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Joshua Aparicio. We got Lambo, Monique, Tom, Deshaun. I'm not sure if I got you. Jake and Ben Forbes. What's up, guys? Hope you guys are having a great day, great weekend. Also want to scoot over here to the Patreon page and thank all of the current subscribers, including a couple of new ones that came in this week. Kaylin Scott, Divine, Ricks, JJ Legg, Nikita Abalakin, Chris Miner, Super Fluffy Toaster, Deshaun Robinson, J Smooth 99, Martin Can, Apron Bump Podcast, Alan Carter, Nick Musser, Jimmy Anderson, K-Dogs Kennel, Ryan Y, Devlin Husband, John Redifer, Claudio Clavedetcher, Daniel Rodriguez, Barry MK, Josiah Blevin, Scott Moss, Domanian, Ewell, John Riffle, Michael Kumo, Naveed, Keith Salyers, and Blake Moran. Y'all, thanks. Can't thank you enough for your support over there on the Patreon page. Good to see you. Chat Site Forums is in the house as well. Steven Scott, how are you, my friend? I am so sorry I missed your super chats yesterday. I saw those when I was going back through the feed, and even my girlfriend mentioned something to me about it. She was watching, and she goes, I think you missed a couple of super chats. So I'm so sorry about that, man. And to the others that I missed, I'll knock those out in just a minute. But first, I can be heard, right? Over there. Yeah, we're good. Here's what's in store for this week. It's the next couple of days you're not going to hear from me. I was contemplating doing a watch-along tomorrow, but I got a lot going on with my job. Breeders' Cup is in town, and it's today, and my life is nuts in terms of work, so I got to deal with that. Tomorrow's going to kind of be an off day for me. Plus, we're going to be here pretty much every Sunday throughout the duration of the year, because next week we've got Full Gear on Saturday, and then I'm going to start doing Survivor Series watch-alongs 1 week from tomorrow. We'll knock out a couple of those before Survivor Series. Might even do a couple after, because we have no December pay-per-view. So maybe in December, we'll do another Survivor Series, maybe we'll do a Rumble, and maybe a Christmas-themed episode watch-along throughout the holiday season. And I'll be up here probably almost every Sunday, maybe excluding one, maybe two, but I think most Sundays you're going to see me throughout the duration of the year. So I'm taking tomorrow off and also taking Monday off. I think Raw reviews are not going to be every single week, no matter what. I might take them off here or there. The numbers and the audiences have been shit on Monday nights, and it's not worth my time. So I'm taking Monday night off, no Raw review this week. We'll pick it back up next week, and whenever WWE has big matches announced, and we might see something major actually happen, you know, I'll be up here for sure. But anytime we have a card that just looks like a big pile of 3-hour shit, I don't know if you're going to see my face on Mondays going forward. And it's an end of an era, because I've been up here every Monday for years and years and years and years. And that's how bad WWE has gotten. So next week, we'll be back here on Wednesday for the Dynamite Watch-Along. We'll make it through the whole show this time, and we will somehow incorporate Full Gear predictions into that. I'll either do it that night after Dynamite, or maybe I'll do a standalone video Thursday, not sure. One way or the other, Wednesday night or Thursday, you'll get Full Gear predictions from me. And, other than that, we probably won't even bother with the Winged Eagle. I might have to come up here and do a news brief if there's any sort of big wrestling news going on. But Saturday is Full Gear, so we'll just hang tight and wait until the pay-per-view is over and come up and do a full review after. And then the next day, we will do a watch-along. So you get me Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday for sure, possibly a Friday or Thursday video, depending on what's going on in the world. So that's going on for next week. Also, I want to thank Chris Cray from yesterday, who dropped in $5 to basically make a comment on Stephanie McMahon's My Personal 9/11 comments that she made all those years ago, and we were kind of giving Stephanie a hard time yesterday, especially me. So thank you for that, Chris. Also, Steven Scott, I shouted you out earlier. I think you might have had two. One that I missed. And one of the ones you mentioned that I missed, I believe it was a $5 one. You said with all of these released wrestlers, they can start an entire federation and have Jim Cornette run it. That would be interesting. I don't know if the wrestling world can handle another one. That would be just fun just to see the competition between Cornette and AEW, because we know how he feels about that, and to see if Cornette can really run a better wrestling company than them like he says he can. I'd be into it. And also, Jimmy Anderson, I missed one from you. You were in with a bunch of super chats yesterday. One that I missed regarding Zelena Vega. You said that you bet that she is counting the days left on her contract. Well, they gave her the Queen's Crown. This is the most featured and the most pushed she's really ever been. I mean, she was there, mostly as a valet and a sidekick to Andrade. She was great. A couple of times she got in the ring, nothing special. Then they brought her back, and they didn't even bring her back with any sort of big return. They just brought her out randomly, acted as if she had never left, and she was losing. And then all of a sudden, they slapped the Queen's Crown on her and have her win the tournament in a country that harbored the terrorist that killed her father. You can't write this shit. But in terms of Zelena maybe seeing all the fun that her husband is having in AEW, she probably does perhaps wish she could get the fuck out of there. But, with Zelena, I almost think that she's just fine in WWE. I like Zelena and everything, but I don't consider her anyone that would really drastically improve the AEW women's roster. There's a lot of other women in WWE that I think would help the AEW women's roster. Zelena, I don't think would add a lot. She'd be another person there, that people recognize and, and shit, but I'd be going after other women, to be honest with you. So, but Zelena, if she does want out, she might, but she's there. At least she got a job making money, and she's currently winning matches. And I believe she did even make the Survivor Series teams that we're going to talk about in a moment. And that brings us to that. That's what we're going to open up here with. We're going to talk about the news, and I want to talk about what WWE announced just about 2 hours ago. And I was really excited when I saw this. I'm like, oh, great, something else to talk about on the podcast, because otherwise my notes were relatively light based on everything that we talked about yesterday. So when WWE started announcing these, I'm like, oh, this will be good, because it's just so ridiculously jaw-dropping, balls-out lazy. I am amazed. Now, first things first, before I go crazy and just get upset at WWE for announcing this on Twitter, I do understand that even if they announced this on Raw, and even if they did the more logical thing and maybe spaced this out and allowed yourself to fill your 3 hours of TV in the next few Raws and the 2 hours of SmackDowns by making people like qualify for the team or whatnot, at least that would have provided some material, some content. But also, it's content that really did we want. If they did give us qualifying matches, we'd all still be bitching. We would. I know I would, because I would say, I don't give a fuck about brand supremacy. To me, it doesn't matter if they announce it on Twitter or if they do it on Raw. Either way, it's a silly concept that no fan should give a shit about. Even 4-year-olds should not care at all which team is technically better, Raw or Survivor Series, or Raw or SmackDown, at Survivor Series, when you're constantly every single minute of every day switching this talent around. You guys are going to have to dig into the record books here, but how many people on the Raw team have been on both teams in their careers? Seth Rollins has probably been on 2 Raw teams and 2 SmackDown teams in his SmackDown career. I mean, that's just a guess, something like that. But these guys move around so much, you can't even keep track of it. And it just makes no sense. Nobody should care at all. Survivor Series would be better off if you made 5-man teams that had, personal issues. Those early Survivor Series days, they didn't qualify for the teams either. Those 87s, all those years, the teams were just announced on television. There was no qualifying matches. There was no dragging shit out. But back then, TV was an hour per week, not 3, not 5, not 6 like WWE has. There was just a very short amount of time to get these things done. So they would generally take 5 baby faces and then take the 5 heels those baby faces are feuding with and put them in the Survivor Series match. And that usually made it a lot more fun for a couple of reasons, because you could see the rivalries, continue to grow, and you would see some interesting pairings on each side of the ring. A lot of these guys had personal histories with each other. The very first ever Survivor Series, you had Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat on the same team. Less than a year after Savage crushed his larynx with the ring bell, and they had the match of the fucking century at WrestleMania 3. Now they're on the same team. Main event, Hulk Hogan and Paul Orndorff, who had one of the most brutal and ugly and bloody feuds in the 80s, are on a team. And it was interesting. Like back then it was so interesting, but now the business moves so fast now. And guys are jumping around all over the place that nobody should care. Nobody cares. I can't even keep track of which one of these guys are heels and baby faces half the time. So you got a team here, all the men's and women's teams are just a hodgepodge of everybody. And, now they're all probably going to be out there wearing the Raw shirts. It's going to be one team in red and one team in blue. It ain't fucking basketball. And it's just annoying. The whole concept is just fucking annoying. It's been so watered down and wasted and pointless and phoned in and incredibly lazy. And that, like I said, is the word of the day. This was lazy. They had an opportunity to fill some of their 3 hours of bullshit TV time they have with some of this stuff, just to because at least with qualifying matches that we don't care about, at the very least, we know based on the talent field here, all of these qualifying matches would be really good. So at least we'd be guaranteed some decent in-ring action on Raw and SmackDown, like we got last week on Raw, like we got last night on SmackDown. You could give us at least some good matches to where at the end of the night when we're doing our reviews or we're talking about the show, we're going to say, okay, yeah, it was a typical Monday Night Raw filled with the same fucking nonsense that you want to fall asleep to, but the matches were good. I mean, at least we have that. So they're not even giving us that. They're just throwing these teams out there. Whatever, here we go. Let's run through them. Here's what they announced for Monday Night Raw. Oh, and by the way, WWE tried to be all dramatic with it. Like, they announced a team member like every 3 minutes. So you'd have to sit there and wait. And I'm like, can't you? Because I'm sitting here watching this in real time. I'm like, can you just tell us all of them? Like, there's no reason to tell us one at a time. You're just waterboarding us. So the men's Raw team, here's who we have. They announced Seth Rollins first, followed by Finn Balor, followed by Kevin Owens, followed by Rey Mysterio, followed by Dominic Mysterio. What do all 5 of those names have in common, do you ask? All 5 were on SmackDown 2.5 fucking weeks ago. They're now on the Raw team. I thought for sure the SmackDown team was going to be all former Raw guys, and it almost was. They started it out that way. Starts out with Drew McIntyre, followed by Jeff Hardy. This is SmackDown, by the way. King Xavier Woods, and then rounding out the group, you've got Sami Zayn and Happy Corbin. So Zayn and Corbin were already on SmackDown, but the other 3 came from Raw. So it's basically like Raw versus SmackDown inverted. So there you go. Seth, Balor, Owens, Rey, and Dom versus Drew, Jeff, Woods, Sammy, and Corbin. You got some heels and some baby faces on the same team. I don't know how they're going to coexist. Is your brain leaking out of your ear? Because mine is. It's a little blood, too. I don't know what's going on. So, yeah, that's happening. Who cares? Who wins? Who cares? Do y'all give a fuck who wins this match at all? Do you care who's the sole survivor? Do you care if a whole team survives? No. I'm sure Fox and USA are going to be watching very closely. WWE's is going to work these executives into a shoot where they're actually going to care if their fucking brand wins. It's going to be fun. Now we got to talk about the women's. The women's Raw team was announced as Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Zelena Vega. So that's a pretty solid team there. I'm really hoping, since Bianca fell short getting the women's title back from Becky Lynch, at least they put her in this Survivor Series and have her diesel this thing and just eliminate the fuck out of everybody and trash the whole other team. At least do that, allowing Bianca to potentially re-challenge Becky again sometime in December or maybe even at that January 1st pay-per-view. The SmackDown women's team is comprised of Sasha Banks, Shayna Baszler, Shotzi Blackheart. Jesus, say Sasha, Shayna, Shotzi 3 times fast. Sasha, Shayna, Shotzi, Natalya, and Aaliyah. Aaliyah just randomly makes the team. I haven't even seen her yet. She was on SmackDown briefly last night. Sami Zayn was messing with her, and he fucked around with Hit Row as well. But that's all we've really seen of Aaliyah. So I'll just randomly, she's on the women's SmackDown team. So that's fine. And like I said, they had 3 hours of Raw and 2 hours of SmackDown to do this. They could have done qualifying matches. They could have filled so much of their empty, repetitive, redundant time that we have to sit through every week and actually do some stuff, but they didn't. It's incredibly lazy. And you know what? Whatever. Because like I said in the beginning, even if they did qualifying matches here, even if they filled the next 3 weeks of TV by comprising these teams, when the teams were finalized, I still wouldn't give a rat's ass. So, and I think I speak for most of us here. So, yeah, there you go. So Survivor Series, the men's, women's teams are set. Now they've got to do the champion versus champion deal. So it looks like Charlotte and Becky is a go. I think if they were not going to go with that match, one of those women would have already dropped the title. Charlotte or Becky would have dropped it to Bianca. And now it looks like they're headed for a collision course. Also going to get Big E and Roman Reigns. I think we all know which way that one's going to go. I'm assuming we're going to get the tag team deal again with the tag teams. Who the fuck are the champs even? I don't even know. Who's the champs? Usos, and who's the champs on Raw? Who's the champs on Raw? I love that I don't know who the tag team champions are on Raw. I'm proud of that. Who the fuck are the tag team champions on Raw? I'm actually really happy I don't know. So that match is going to happen, and then I guess we're going to get Dame. Ooh, that'll actually be good. Now that I say that out loud and just thought about it, Damian Priest, Nakamura. That's the match of everything I want to see the most, I think. Just the thought of that. Yeah, that'll be good. Okay, so Survivor Series might not be too bad. We're going to get Damian Priest and Shinsuke Nakamura. We've had worse matches than that. Nakamura's been in multiple of these type of matches, I think. I was at Survivor Series in 2018. He faced somebody. I think he was IC champ. Maybe it was Seth. Might have been Seth and Nakamura. Something like that. RK Bro, thank you. Jesus, how am I going to forget RK Bro? That's funny that I forgot who they were when they're really the best act on Monday Night Raw right now. Sorry, guys. What can I say? Blame my friend. Good to see Ratnick, Rodrigo, Sonny, and HTK in the house as well. Good to see y'all. Weed Whacking Willie, thank you for the $2. Do you see Bray's tweet about taking down WWE? Was that the one he did yesterday? It was kind of like a long, drawn-out one. I think I did. I've seen most of his tweets. This might also be referring to maybe some comments that he's going to make. I think he's a little bit pissed about some of the word, some of the rumors coming out around him. It seems like WWE is doing this a lot. They're even referring to Keith Lee now as being difficult. Sounds like character assassination to me. It sounds like them, trying to make it sound like they weren't so fucked up for letting him go. They're the ones that fucked everything up. They're the ones that creatively dropped the ball on literally everything, and now they're going to make it look like it's the talent's fault. Fuck you, WWE. Domination Warriors back with the 5. Thanks, dude. Shout out to Mox for a thorough recovery. Keith Lee, Mia Yim, Grand Metalik, Biff Busick for work elsewhere. What's the best Survivor Series of the 2010s? IWGP Heavyweight or Big Gold? Oh, that's a lot of questions. Best Survivor Series of the 2010s, I couldn't tell you. I'm going to say the one that I was at because that one was fun. Rousey, Charlotte, Bryan, Brock. That was in 2018 at Staples. I don't remember any other Survivor Series, so I'm just going to go with that one. I like the IWGP, but I'm partial to the Big Gold. And yeah, I echo your sentiments there on all that released talent. We wish them all well. And hope they're all going to find work. I'm sure they will. We've got Ernie Garcia's back. What's up, man? Good to see you as well. Joey's Adventures. I don't know if I got you earlier on. I think I got all the super chats, at least for now. Hunter Iggy. Yeah, well, we talked a little bit about that yesterday, Iggy, in terms of if, and we don't know the specifics. There was some rumors and reports that some releases were related to vaccination status, but that wasn't the reason for the firing, but they did take it into consideration. And, I am of the belief that, if you want to work somewhere and they require you to get the vaccine, you got to get it. There's too much going on. WWE's so different. It ain't McDonald's. You're on planes, you're traveling, you're going to venues, everything that has restrictions. Some places require vaccination status cards, some places don't. And to constantly have to worry about that because you've got people doing research, on Facebook or Joe Rogan, like fucking Aaron Rodgers is, and sticking livestock dewormer up his ass, before he just takes a simple vaccine that everybody's taking and everybody's fine, nobody's dying. Just fucking do it, but you don't have to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But it could affect your job status or something. It's just like if you go to an event or go to a concert and they require vaccinations and then you show up and you're not vaccinated and you wonder why you can't get in. I'm like, well, you read the disclaimer, you clicked agree. So I'm very of the belief that if companies want to require vaccinations from their employees, they can. And it's still your choice whether or not you do it or not. Nobody's going to force you, pin you down, handcuff you, and stick that and give you the jab. It's not going to happen. So if you don't want to do it, you might have to face some consequences. Simple as that. Not much else to it. So I am fine with that. If that's one of the reasons they had to do it, that's one of the reasons they had to do it. You know what I mean? Nia Jax yesterday, as we talked about, said that she was never given an option. So we really don't know what the story is. We don't know what it is. If Nia Jax was not given an option, then maybe she was let go for other reasons. We really don't know. It's all kind of hearsay, rumors, or whatever. Either way, it's never fun to see anybody lose their job, and whether they're vaccinated or not, I want Cross and Scarlett and Keith Lee to find work and be successful and prosper because they're all excellent talents. And it's a shame. It just blows my mind how they are, they can release people like this minutes after boasting about just record profits and sales and revenue and all that stuff. Unreal. Only in WWE. Let's get into the Jon Moxley stuff since somebody brought that up. We never talked about that yesterday. So Jon Moxley, I guess we talked a little bit about it in our brief Dynamite watch-along on Wednesday. Moxley was set to face Orange Cassidy, I guess, in the semis of the Eliminator Tournament on Wednesday. On Dynamite, earlier on that day, or maybe the day before, might have been Tuesday, Tony Khan tweets out with Moxley's permission to share this information that Moxley has voluntarily entered an inpatient treatment program to deal with some alcohol, substance abuse, and addiction, a problem that I wasn't even aware that he had. Now, it was crazy, you know, when you see the outpouring of love and support for Moxley before Dynamite even happened. And it was like social media. And I was reading through, obviously, it's Twitter. You're going to have dickbags no matter what. But overall, I mean, the love and the support that was coming out from a lot of the fans, and especially his peers, everybody in the wrestling business, I'm like, you know what? That gives me slight, and I mean slight, hope for wrestling humanity. You know, that fans actually can put their bullshit aside. You know, I'm sure you're going to have some asscocks that are going to use the Moxley thing as a way to attack AEW because they're slimy, spineless pieces of inbred shit. But regular people who see this guy struggling and appreciate the fact that he recognized this himself and decided to seek treatment himself when he's on the verge of potentially getting a title match, you know, and going on to big things, having a pay-per-view match and all of that, sacrificing it all, you know, for to recognize his problem. I think a lot of people were impressed with that he was so open about it, that he sought help, that AEW helped him out, and they supported him 1,000,000,000%, almost to the point where it was overkill. Because then on Dynamite, if you noticed, there was little tributes sprinkled out to Moxley throughout the entire show. And I mean, it warmed my heart, but at the same time, I'm like, he ain't dead, you know? So it was like, wow, yeah, they are really trying to make it known that they are a family over there. Whether or not that's truly true, you know, time will tell. But, you know, that sort of support would make me it would be a very attractive place to work, especially when you read Nia Jax's statement from the other day when she was released, talking about how she was in the middle of taking a mental health break and she was let go in the middle of that. If Nia Jax was in AEW, they'd be tributing her on Dynamite, or in WWE, they fire your ass. And there obviously could be a lot more to it than that, but according to her, that's what it boiled down to. And because she continued to want time off and they didn't want to give it to her. You know, she needed a mental health break. Some people need that. I don't. Some people do. And if people need to go seek that out for the betterment of themselves and their own sanity and good mental health, the company should be there to support them. And, you know, like I said, unless there's a lot more to it than what Nia is sharing, if we take her for her word, it makes WWE look pretty shitty to do that. So to see the support that Moxley got, not only from the fans, not only from wrestlers all across all wrestling companies and the company he works for itself, I can understand why a lot of people would be clamoring to go over there and work. And Moxley, you know, we wish him the best too. I mean, I don't know how long the treatment plan is. I don't know if this is 30 days or anything like that. Like I said, I don't know anything about Jon Moxley's personal life, but he's never one that I've heard much about in terms of like getting drunk at bars and, you know, partying and stuff like that. Just never really heard that. But apparently maybe he's drinking a lot more now. That certainly would explain the weight. Those of you who can relate to know people who are alcoholics or maybe drink yourself, alcohol puts a ton of weight on you. And he's beefed up. You know, and you also have to take into consideration the schedule change. People coming from WWE that are on the road, you know, 300 days a year, just being ran into the ground traveling, now have all of this extra free time. And I didn't think Moxley was going to have that much free time because he's a brand new dad. He's got a little kid at home that he's got to take care of. So him being able to recognize this and saying, yo, I got to put my family and Renee and the baby first and take care of myself and nip this in the bud makes me think and makes me wonder how bad this really got. I think it was maybe just starting to get bad and he noticed it and nipped it in the bud right away instead of something that's, you know, really damaging his health and has been going on for years and years and years and years. I don't know. But it seems like it kind of came out of nowhere. So maybe Moxley just noticed in the last couple of years he's been drinking more. Maybe he's not really liked the way he's felt or his behavior or how he looks or how he feels. And he's recognizing this is not usually how I've done things. I'm drinking more than I ever have. I think I want to go get some help. And that's extremely admirable. So whatever the case is there, he recognized it, brought it to, you know, his employer's attention, and they are standing by him 100%. And I know all of us are as well. So get well soon, Moxley. Hope you're back better than ever. You know, rehab can be tricky, I'm sure. I don't divulge much of my personal life, but I have alcohol abuse in my immediate family. I'm not much of a drinker at all. I'm very lucky that something in my DNA has always made me not love drinking. I drink. I go out socially and have a good time and stuff. When I was younger, you know, when I turned 21, I drank a bunch of shots and threw up like everybody did. You know, it's not that I don't drink at all, but I've really never liked to get drunk. You guys see me on the live streams. I nurse beers. You know, I'm never pounding them down. I'll drink, 1, 2, 3 beers a week, and that's usually when I'm streaming. Other than that, if I drink at all, it's only socially, and it's never liquor, and it's always just, casually sipping on beer. I don't like alcohol, but it runs in my family. I have plenty of family members, and my father, who passed away a couple of years ago, was an alcoholic. And so I understand, I can relate. Many of you, I'm sure, can, with either people or maybe you yourself. So if you are somebody that's struggling with alcohol or addiction or anything like that, hopefully what Moxley is doing here can actually help people. With him being so open about this and with AEW being so open about it too, this might inspire more people to recognize their own problems and go take care of it. And I think that's an excellent message to send. So best wishes to Jon Moxley and his whole family. Props to all the fans, the wrestlers, and especially AEW and Tony Khan for taking such good care of him and supporting him the way they did. I think that's great. And if you're ever having problems as well, talk to somebody, seek out help, try to get help. Hopefully you'll find the same support that Moxley did. So, and yes, and rehab ain't cheap either. Although I'm sure there are cheaper forms of it. So yeah, Moxley hopefully will be back sooner rather than later. I don't know if maybe they'll just tell him to take the rest of the year off. I mean, after Full Gear, they don't have any pay-per-views until, February or something, right? So essentially he could maybe take the rest of the year off, spend the holidays with his family, regroup, reset, come back refreshed in 2022, or he'll complete his 30 days, his 2 weeks, whatever it is, and pop back up on TV right away. I'm sure that AEW will allow him to do whatever he wants. Whatever he wants to do, they will do. They can adjust his contract or whatever. He's like, hey, can you just pause my contract for 2 months? Let me deal with myself, come back, we'll pick it up, whatever. Who knows? But it sounds like he's got a ton of support, and that's good. It's not bad. Monday Night Raw this past week, I should at least mention the rating. We had a couple of really good matches on the show, even though I thought it was your typical Monday Night Raw. It was nice to see stuff like Gable against Balor. That's a match we haven't gotten a lot, and it was competitive, and it wasn't even a silly, stupid squash or anything like that. It was actually quite good. Raw drew a 1.69 in the ratings this week with a 0.47 share. That's not horrible, at least in the share, and they beat AEW Dynamite pretty bad this week in the ratings as well. In terms of the shows this week, I think since we're talking about WWE and we just got done talking about Survivor Series, we should probably just run through quickly SmackDown. And then I want to get into Dynamite, their rating this past week, what they have set for Wednesday. A lot of good matches already set. I believe 4 of them plus a contract signing. Then we will run through the entire Full Gear card and get into that as well. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to talk about Rampage. Then we will talk about the Full Gear card. And I definitely want to spend some time on that CM Punk and Eddie Kingston promo from last night. Holy fuck, that was good. Wow, that was good. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, well, you don't have to. I think it does it for you. We set the clocks back tonight, fall back. So tomorrow it's going to start getting dark at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Love this time of year. Ugh. So don't forget to be doing that. And if you do have to wake up early in the morning, you get an extra hour sleep tonight. So that ain't too shabby. Like I said, let me get into SmackDown real quick. Did I miss any supers? No, we're good on that one. Do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button if you don't mind. Could certainly use the likes for the algorithm. Algorithm us up. Algorithm the shit out of that algorithm. Come on. Hit us with the likes. Let's run through SmackDown first. This is going to be brief. Not going to spend a ton of time on this. The show was basically encompassed and bookended by the Jimmy Uso and Xavier Woods match. Roman Reigns comes out to cut a promo, explains his absence from last week when they were on FS1 and said he took time off after smashing Brock and he went to the beach and ran on the beach naked or something, all this crazy shit. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston come out. Kofi winds up challenging Jimmy Uso to a match with the stipulation that if Jimmy wins, Xavier will acknowledge Roman Reigns, but if Xavier wins, Jimmy must go down on bended knee. Oh, God, give me the reason I'm down. Okay, I'm a terrible singer. So that challenge was issued. It was accepted. That would be your main event, Xavier Woods versus Jimmy Uso, with you either acknowledge him or you kneel. So it's kind of a crazy stipulation there. They had a funny little cartoon graphic to go with it. Kind of silly, but entertaining. I actually liked it. They continued the Naomi and Sonya Deville stuff that I pray to God has a payoff, because if it doesn't, what a goddamn waste. So Naomi is in there this week. She's taking on Shayna Baszler. Shayna's got her in the Kirifuda clutch, but Naomi's got a hold of the ropes, and she eventually lets go of the ropes and is able to counter and roll Shayna Baszler up and pin her for the win. Now, Sonya Deville comes out and says, yo, you were in a submission. You grabbed the ropes. The referee fucked up. That should have been a rope break, but instead you rolled through it and got a bullshit pin. So I have no choice because I'm the authority here. I have to restart the match. Sorry, not my fault. Bell rings and Shayna immediately locks the Kirifuda clutch on Naomi and she taps out. So Sonya is an asshole. And I'll tell you what, man, if they just keep doing this and fucking with Naomi and there's no payoff here, that is just the epitome of WWE. So we'll see if that happens or if they actually do the right thing. We got a Shotzi promo basically saying there's no more Tank, which I found funny because she's a heel now. Tank is a babyface prop, so obviously you can't come out here in the Tank. And her reasoning for not needing the Tank was stupid. She should have just said, I'm a heel now. I'm not going to drive that thing. We've got a team name now for Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. They are Los Lotharios. I'm going to call them Los Jose Lotharios. I think that would be more fun. They're taking on Mansoor and tag team specialist Cesaro, and they got the win. Los Lotharios. So I was kind of hoping Mansoor and Ali would remain a team, but they are split now. I don't know if Cesaro and Mansoor will stick or not. Bring Sheamus in and put him with Cesaro and give us the bar back, if anything else. But Los Lotharios, huh? Okay, I mean, at least they have a name, but WWE following through on tag teams doesn't usually work. It should work with these guys. They're related, and they look good together. I think they're a solid team, so hopefully they will thrive and just not be in the back doing nothing. We'll see. Drew McIntyre's been enjoying coming out lately on Friday nights and doing an open challenge. This week it was answered by Ricochet. Now, I always reference the King of the Ring semifinal match they had a few years ago on Raw, which I thought was great, and Ricochet beat him clean. Oh my, how times have changed. Their spots on the card now they were maybe like this. Now it's like this. So Drew has to face Ricochet in an open challenge. Really good match with a hell of a finish. Ricochet goes, I guess, for a springboard moonsault, and then he's Claymored upside down. Fucking fantastic finish. Drew gets the win there. I still like McIntyre. I think the sword is silly and all of that, but he is just a beast, man. Would like to see him get back on track, and hopefully some matches with Roman are down the road. Viking Raiders defeated Madcap, Moss, and Baron Corbin. I'm not going to say a fucking word about that match because it was stupid. Sami Zayn was approaching a couple of the new SmackDown talents backstage. First, he confronted Aaliyah. Then he starts talking to Hit Row. Very sad to see Hit Row there without B-Fab. Brought a tear to my eye. So he starts talking to them backstage and he's trying to lecture them on how to make a proper entrance or something. And I think it's Top Dollar who's like, why don't you show us? And he goes, can I show you? Really? Can I show you? And then his music plays and he just goes out there and literally dances his nutsack off like he's having a damn seizure and goes nuts. And it was weird. And of course, we also had the main event, Xavier Woods taking on Jimmy Uso. We know the stipulation here. If Woods wins, Jimmy must bend his knee. If Jimmy wins, Woods must acknowledge Roman Reigns. Xavier Woods winds up winning with a quick roll-up, 1, 2, 3, and as Jimmy is about to kneel down for the stipulation, Roman's like, comes in the ring and nails Xavier with a Superman punch, and the Bloodline beats down Xavier and Kofi, and no bended knee for the Bloodline. They don't do that. So overall, even though the show didn't give us a whole lot, there's nothing that really... because think about it, the pay-per-view is coming up, so there's no real issues being built right now. Cracks me up, all the fans, talking about how AEW, lacks storytelling. It blows my mind how WWE programming has programmed the minds of fans since it's been so long since we've had competition that they think that if you don't have a promo in an interruption or a match with somebody on commentary doing guest commentary who runs in and costs them the match, or just a regular old run-in, then there's no stories being told. To me, the story is putting Danielson in the ring with somebody else and just let the two fucking Wolverines tear each other's heads off. That's a story right there. With WWE, this repetitive, redundant nonsense the fans are so used to seeing over and over and over for the past 2 decades, and many of them are young and too young to remember when there actually was competition and stories used to be told. They don't even know what the fuck a storyline is. And they're trying to pass judgment on other companies, what they're doing. You don't know shit, Junior. Trust me. So this was all just a lot of okay stuff, I think the deepest story right now on SmackDown is Naomi and Sonya, which is why I so desperately want to see a payoff here, because Sonya's doing a great job of being an asshole. Naomi's doing a great job of being an underdog here. I'm wondering when Naomi's going to go enlist some help from some family. Why ain't she doing that? Roman and the Usos own SmackDown. Usos are getting arrested with DWIs back-to-back and keeping their jobs. Why isn't she going up to her husband and say, can you take care of this fucking bitch for me? You know, like, I'm surprised that Naomi hasn't done that yet. So I'm wondering if she will, or if they'll even acknowledge that there's a relationship there at all, or if it's just Sonya continuing to mess with Naomi and then WWE drops the whole angle, which is another thing that they are very likely to do. God, SmackDown was, but like I said, even though it sounds like I am shitting on SmackDown, I'm really not. It could have been a worse show. It was good. Like I said, the Woods and Jimmy Uso stuff did entertain me. Sami Zayn always entertains me. I've got Drew McIntyre's back. The Naomi Sonya stuff I like, provided there's a payoff there. And Roman cut his awesome promo. Saw a good outing for a great new tag team on the show. There are positives there. And I'm willing to most definitely see and admit those positives for sure. But, you know, largely uninspiring broadcast for the most part. Even though fun stuff happened, you could have skipped it. You really could have. You could have skipped it last night. You couldn't have skipped Rampage, though. I'll tell you that. Holy shit. No, Rodrigo, I have given up on NXT. I will watch it when I can, but no, I miss the old NXT, you know, the old NXT, the Super Indie Fed, that's AEW now. When I want to watch fucking Nickelodeon and Braun Breaker and I happen to be off, I'll turn on NXT. But yeah, I've only watched a little bit of it, to be honest with you. It is, it's a sacrifice I made, just not into it. My pick with me is Jack and Coke. Yeah, I got a lot of friends that drink Jack and Coke. I have friends that can do shots. The guy that I work with, he's put on just a ton of weight. He's a really big guy. I have literally seen him, sat right next to him, and seen him do 16 shots, you know, in like 2 hours. I would be dead. I would be in the back of an ambulance. I'd just be dead on arrival at the hospital. There's no way my body could handle that. I would die and puke out my lungs, liver, heart, rib cage, everything. And this guy's just taking it and is fucking straight as an arrow, could walk a tightrope like nothing I've ever seen. You know, and I worry about him. He's younger than me, but when he gets to be 50 and 60, you know, his liver is going to be a dried up fucking raisin. So if you drink a lot, don't. It's not good for you. It's really, really bad for you, and it just does a number on your health, your liver, your, you know, everything about you, your skin. You know, it's just so sad, and I've seen it firsthand. So don't go too hard if you like those Jack and Cokes, man. Go easy. Just one Jack and Coke. See, there's nothing wrong with one Jack and Coke. I don't think there's anything wrong with 2 Jack and Cokes. In most cases, I don't even think there's anything wrong with 3 Jack and Cokes, but there is something wrong with 30 Jack and Cokes. So don't be doing that ever. Not a good idea. Let's move on now. Since we wrapped up SmackDown, let's start talking about Rampage from last night. Let's talk that first. Then we'll talk about what's set for Dynamite on Wednesday. Then we'll run through the Full Gear card, and then I'll get my ass out of here because I got to be going to work soon. Also, thumbs up, hit it, smash it, pound it, tap it, whatever you got to do, do it. So anyway, last night's AEW Rampage, I tweeted last night when I got home from work and I was watching this show late that it is probably, I mean, I really do like Dynamite, but I think Rampage might be overall my favorite show across the board in wrestling because it's 1 hour long. It's fast-paced, it's a very easy watch, and it goes by quick. And it's not like they're phoning these shows in. This is a terrible time slot. They are not setting the world on fire with their ratings numbers on Rampage, but yet they're still delivering really good matches. It's just a terrible time slot. They can get that down to 8 o'clock or something, you know, or another night of the week even, or maybe Saturday night at 8 o'clock. That might not be good. Maybe a Thursday night thing might be better than Friday. If they can put it on Thursday at 8 or something like that, I think Rampage could be a great show and could do like AEW does. You know, I think AEW's A show is better than WWE's A show, at least right now. WWE could turn the tables, but right now, Dynamite is far more enjoyable to watch than Raw by a mile, and Rampage and SmackDown are a little closer, but if they moved Rampage over, you know, it might have a, you know, and put it in a better time slot, it might be able to better compete with WWE's secondary show or B show or other show or whatever. But in the meantime, I don't care what time of day it is, you know, or when it's on. I don't watch it when it's on anyway. I watch it late at night. I watched Rampage last night at 2 a.m, and it was fucking great. And they opened up the show with Bryan Danielson and Anthony Bowens, and I was reading on Twitter while I was at work trying to get an idea what was going on these shows. what Max Caster said, and I could not wait to go home and hear this line. So, of course, Caster is back. He had to take that little time off over that one controversial rap, but this time he's down there as Danielson comes out to the ring first. He's coming out there with Bowens, and he makes a line about John Laurinaitis. Said something about, I'll end more careers than your father-in-law. Got a big ooh from the crowd. I think he even mentioned something about Bryan Danielson's wife's reality show. So he kind of touched on Brie Bella, touched on John Laurinaitis. I loved that. I think it was even, whoever was on commentary, it might have been Taz. I think he said, he goes, that might get him back in the good graces with Tony Khan after a line like that. I got a kick out of it. Really good match. These are the type of matches that I just kind of like to see. This is what Danielson likes to do. Fans are complaining, that Danielson's just in the ring, not doing anything. Did it ever occur to you that this is kind of what he wants to do? He's got to build a record up. AEW cares about records. They tally the records. You can't just come right in, and just get title shots right off the bat, which he didn't. All his shit was non-title. So now he's just building up some wins. He's facing some guys that he never would have faced. These facing guys that now get to say, young guys that get to say as they continue their careers, I once wrestled the great Bryan Danielson on national television. That's awesome. I can't understand the toxic negativity that seems to exist in wrestling fans when you can get just a Dynamite match. And last week, Danielson was working Dynamite. Here he's working Rampage. He's got a match set up this week against who? Rocky Romero. So it's the same thing. Danielson is working his balls off, looks like he's having the time of his life, and he's wrestling hard, and he's wrestling quality stuff. The title shots, the big-time storylines, that stuff is going to come. But in the meantime, he's just like a little fucking pit bull in there, and he wants to get in the ring and mix it up and get to do physically what he hasn't been able to do for the past 10 fucking years working for WWE. He gets to be the American Dragon again, and that's got to feel very fucking good for him. So can't we just be happy for the guy instead of being a bitch about it? That's all I ask, and that's all I do. No storyline. God, WWE has programmed you. They have programmed you. You don't understand anything outside of their bubble. And it's just, it's hilarious to me. So anyway, Danielson, Anthony Bowens, hell of a little match here. Danielson taps him out with the label lock, you would imagine, and gets the win, and hopefully gets revenge for those rap lines that, are they called bars? Is that what they're called? Is that what the kids say? Bars? Those bars that Max Caster hit Bryan with. Great stuff there. That brings us to the CM Punk and Eddie Kingston promo, which I literally made a mess out of my pants. Oh my God, was this good. Now, we knew it was going to be good. We were hoping that we were going to get this on Wednesday night, but Eddie Kingston wasn't there, so we got it on Rampage instead, which I'm fine with. I don't care when we get it. Just give it to us. And we were thinking, based on the confrontation from last week after Eddie's loss, and he confronted Punk with Shivani, that, that's going to be full gear match. That's going to be full gear match, which means we're going to get an in-ring promo between these guys sometime between now and then. And we got it last night, and it was off the fucking hook. So great. This was, I think, what do you guys say? I'm going to say that Eddie Kingston, hands down, was the winner in this promo. The fans even seemed behind him to the point where I'm wondering if CM Punk's the heel at Full Gear. I think he's going to work that whole match as a heel. I think he has to. Eddie's an underdog. Everybody loves Eddie. Eddie could be in there against The Rock, and fans are going to cheer for Eddie. So it's going to be an interesting match at Full Gear. Punk's going to win easily, I think. Maybe not easily. He's gonna win in a war, but he's going to win that match. But the promo battle here is a match he did not win. Eddie Kingston eviscerated CM Punk, and I didn't think something like that was possible. I'm a little worried for CM Punk now when he gets in the ring and has a dueling mic with MJF when that day inevitably comes. Now, Punk, maybe eviscerate is a little harsh. Punk held his own. He's still CM Punk. He still did fine. Eddie is just on such a different level than anybody else in the business. He is the most real. He is the most genuine person in the entire industry, to where if you have a non-wrestling fan tuning in to TNT and they stop it and their battery in the remote stops working, they're like, fuck. And Eddie and Punk happen to be in the ring and they're hearing what Eddie says before they can get the remote to work again, they're going to stop for a second and finish listening to him. Because you listen when he talks. And I don't know what these guys are talking about, but this feels real. Kind of thing. I think that's how good Eddie is. And that's when I was seeing that last night, I'm like, oh, this is so good. I was like gritting my teeth. So Punk basically wants an apology because Eddie Kingston came and confronted him in his promo, last week or whatever on Dynamite. So Eddie comes out and he says, and Punk was, of course, talking shit about him on Dynamite, and he wasn't here. So Eddie says, you want to know why I wasn't here? Because I thought I had COVID, and I took some COVID tests, and I didn't want to come here and get everybody sick or get my friend, I guess he, pointed out Moxley, get Moxley sick, who's going to go home and then get his daughter sick. I just wasn't here for COVID. I was trying to do the right thing, you motherfucker. And then he gets in Punk's face, and he says, CM Punk judged him back in the Ring of Honor days because he was fat and maybe he liked food, and you politic to where you get to where you are to get to where you are today, where he didn't do that. And as he's getting in his face like that, the crowd is really kind of firmly behind Eddie. Eddie chants around this point. And then Punk kind of barks back. He goes, look, it wasn't me who judged him. And Eddie had rolled out and rattled off a few names earlier. And he goes, you mentioned Samoa Joe. You mentioned Danielson. You fell short of the mark because you're a bum. We all judged you because you couldn't hack it. You're a bum. He called him a bum, which really looked like it pissed Eddie Kingston off, because I'm sure that's a typical insult he hears. He does kind of look like a bum a little bit, but that's what makes him great. And Eddie eventually gets pissed and winds up challenging. Well, he's going to challenge Punk to Full Gear in a minute, but before he does that, he says probably the line of the night, which looked like it legitimately shook CM Punk. The entire time, as Eddie pointed out, Punk has got this like smirk on his face when Eddie's talking, and Eddie's like, wipe that fucking smirk off your face. And he goes, I worked very, very hard to be here. I'm going to say it. This is the only professional wrestling company in the world. And let me tell you something, CM Punk. Nobody here wants you here. Nobody here ever wanted you here. But nobody's brave enough to say it except for me. And I was like, holy shit. Because what have I said for years and years and years on this channel? The best wrestling angle storylines and promos are ones that have a little bit of reality sewn into it. And I am certain, based on CM Punk's reputation and, how controversial he has seemed to be and how many bridges seem to be burned and how many relationships he's broken throughout his life, there probably are a lot of people in the AEW locker room who are a little bit hesitant or weary of him coming in. Now, CM Punk has been overly happy. He's been so gracious there in his time there. He seems like he's a completely different person. I'm still dying to know, and have not heard any or seen any reports from Fightful or Ryan Satin or Zarian or any of those credible journalists who will tell me what the fuck the relationship is between CM Punk and Colt Cabana now that they're both backstage with each other every week in AEW. Certainly there's got to be some sort of, they can't just stay away from each other altogether. You're going to bump into each other. If I wanted to stay away from somebody at my job, it wouldn't be possible. I'd have no choice but to see him, talk to him, be cordial to him, whatever. So I'm wondering if they've put their differences aside or if they've just agreed, hey, we're never going to be friends again, but we'll be cool at work. I'm curious. I just want to know. So we've all said that even prior to CM Punk coming in. We were wondering, what's that going to do to a locker room? Especially, we talked about this possibility, and that's why I find it funny that so many fans are complaining about the speed at which CM Punk is beginning his AEW career. I'm like, what is that going to do to AEW's locker room, who right now seems like it's very cohesive, everybody gets along, it's a very team effort type of mentality back there. It feels like very reminiscent of Attitude Era WWE. They feel like they're all kind of on the same side. If you bring somebody in who already has touchy relationships with a lot of people in that locker room and has been out of wrestling for 7 years and then walks right in the door and takes top money, top pay-per-view spots, and top titles from everybody else, is that going to do anything to damage their morale there? But CM Punk is going the opposite route. He's in no rush to jump in the middle of the spotlight. He's not Shawn Michaeling this shit. He's starting slow, working with younger talent, underneath talent, and guys that, can get a rub from him just like Danielson is. Those two guys are those are the wise janitors. Those are the wise veterans, in the company that I think every wrestler there and every young wrestler kind of wants to get in there and mix it up with a little bit. So the fact that they're both doing that, I have no problem with it. And Punk and Eddie is going to make a hell of a match. Just promo-wise alone, they're going to build this thing huge, and they're going to have to get pretty violent, I would think, in this match, because neither one of these guys are exactly Shawn Michaels or Eddie Guerrero inside the ring. So they're probably going to have to go elsewhere to find that especially, without the ability to use the mic. So I would look for some blood for sure in this match, and I think it could get pretty ugly, and it should be pretty similar to what Eddie and Mox did, I would imagine. So this should give us a different type of match from CM Punk. So far, with Darby and Daniel Garcia and some of the other people that Punk has worked with, it's been more of an in-ring match. This is going to be a fight. So we're going to see how CM Punk holds up in his brawling style in this match with Eddie. And it should get wild. So after that big line, by the way, Eddie officially challenges CM Punk to Full Gear, to a match at Full Gear. And that's when Punk says, Full Gear, isn't that a little bit high for you? Shouldn't you be more like Elevation or Dark or something like that, which is kind of a weak line, to be honest. Even Eddie kind of laughed it off. And he wound up, I guess, getting in his face a little bit after that, and he's really close up to CM Punk. They're in the corner, and Punk hits him with a headbutt. They kind of brawl, pull apart, that sort of thing. So that whole promo was fun, nothing but fun. I loved it, and it made you feel it, made you believe it, and I'm ready as hell for that match. Unfortunately, there's no way that match can match that promo. It's just can't. It's just what they're going to be able to do in the ring. I'm sure will be fun. I'm sure will be bloody, and I'm sure it'll be a war. But I think the promo is probably going to be the best thing about this entire angle, and should be fun to see them work at Full Gear. Great shit last night. Loved every second of that. We had another match in the TBS tournament as well. The Bunny took on Red Velvet. Red Velvet got the win there. Jade Cargill and What's-His-Face were at ringside, and there was a little bit of trash talk after the match. So there's some history there between the two of them, and I do believe they will be facing each other in the next round because Jade got that bye. So everybody now in the first round has moved up. They will face everybody in byes. I don't have the bracket in front of me, but we should get a couple of matches for that on Dynamite and Rampage next week, because the finals are at Full Gear, correct? At least I think they are. So anyway, that happened. Red Velvet over Bunny. And then in the main event, really fun match between Adam Cole and John Silver. Adam Cole got the win with a couple of super kicks and then the boom. They did the little kissing spot on the outside with the Bucks who were there. John Silver's great. He's so entertaining. Gave Adam Cole a totally fun little match here. Loved every minute of it. And earlier on in the night, I believe Christian and Jurassic Express had challenged Cole and the Bucks to a match at Full Gear, which did get officialized, and it's made for Full Gear. Speaking of Full Gear, here's what we got. Full Gear card next Saturday, 1 week from today. We've got Kenny Omega taking on Hangman Page for the AEW World title. Britt Baker defending against Tay Conti for the AEW Women's title. The Lucha Brothers the Lucha Brothers versus FTR for the AEW Tag Team titles. Bryan Danielson versus Miro in the Eliminator final. Of course, Miro took Moxley's place on Dynamite and beat Orange Cassidy to get that shot against Danielson. That should be interesting. We're going to do our predictions later this week, but who do you got in Miro and Danielson? Miro, last time he was in the ring, he took a loss to Sammy Guevara. Does he take another one? You can't do a schmaz. You can't do a DQ. You got to get a winner here. I think it's going to be Miro. I think there needs to be a way for Miro to win this, whether it be clean or whether somebody that Danielson is going to feud with comes in and fucks up the deal. It might even be Kenny. This match is going to happen before Kenny and Hangman. Maybe Kenny doesn't want anything else to do with Danielson, so he costs him the match or something like that. But I think Miro's going to have to win this because I think Hangman is going to win the title. So I think Hangman should be facing... Hangman's very over, and so is Daniel Bryan. I wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't. Not that you can't. It's just... don't split the audience. Put Hangman in there against Miro, although Miro's got a lot of fans as well, but at least it's a little bit more clear of a babyface and heel battle between those two. So I think I'm probably going to pick Miro when I do my predictions later on this week. We also have that big Minneapolis street fight between the Inner Circle against Men of the Year, Junior Dos Santos, Arvlasky, and Dan Lambert has actually got to get his old fat ass in the ring and try to wrestle. That ought to be good. I hope he juices. I hope he blades. I hope we get a lot of color on Dan Lambert's face. I think the crowd will pop hard for that. Also, we've got, like I said, just announced Jurassic Express and Christian taking on the Bucks and Adam Cole in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Kind of the same thing here. I mean, Minneapolis Street Fight and Falls Count Anywhere essentially is the exact same match, and they're both multi-man matches, so we'll see how similar they turn out to be. And, of course, we also have Darby Allin taking on MJF, and Eddie Kingston taking on CM Punk. So that is 8 matches that I have listed here. I don't think I've missed one. Like I said, they could probably add one more, which they are. It's going to be the TBS tournament, right? The TBS tournament's going to be a 9th match. So that will probably be it, correct? Unless I'm missing something else. Let me know. I don't know if you're talking about me, HTK. The AEW hardcore fan base cheer for the heels more like the classic baby faces. Kind of. Fans have always been into that, man. I used to go to shows back in the day, and, we used to even kind of do it sometimes. Sometimes we just boo the baby faces for no reason or something, just to be edgy or something. Fans are always like that, especially when you're young. I used to be that way too. I ain't criticizing or fronting. Joshua Aparicio, thanks for that $5 earlier on, man. What's going on? Hey, Greg, imagine Eddie versus MJF on the mic. Okay. Yeah. Hold on, I'm imagining it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that would be good. Thank you for having me imagine that, Joshua. It would be awesome. We're going to see it one day, but what would you rather see, Eddie versus MJF or MJF versus Punk? I kind of want MJF versus Punk. Marcus the Entertainer, thank you, dude, for the $5. CM Punk will be the heel people think they want Cody to be. Punk will be a good heel. I think he's going to be heel in the whole ordeal here with Eddie Kingston throughout the rest of this week and at the pay-per-view. After that, I'm not sure what's going to happen. And, if Moxley comes back, where we see him play into things, if he's going to pick things back up with Eddie, either as a friend or a foe, I don't know. Cody kind of better go heel, too. Oh, Ben, the Johnny Ace reference by Castor was awesome. Oh, my bad, Monique. See, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I was about to say, it seems like there's an awful lot of matches left. How are they going to get them all done by Full Gear? Okay, I'm stupid. Thank you, Monique, for correcting me. Sometimes we say and do stupid things on this podcast. It comes with the territory. It's what you get when you subscribe. Sometimes stupidness. No, it's not going to be the TBS title final. I was just assuming that was in Full Gear because it's hard to keep track of this shit. WWE had their Queen's Crown at Crown Jewel, and I don't know what fucking day it is. So sorry about that, Monique. So yeah, we're back down to 8 matches here. They could add a 9th next week, but I'm trying to think of who's still out there that has an unresolved issue that hasn't had a match made yet. If they could tack one more on Dynamite. And don't we usually have a buy-in? Are we going to get anything on the buy-in? Probably not a title shot type of thing because we already have the Eliminator final on here. But Battle Royal, Casino Battle Royal, some shit like that. We might get something like that on the buy-in. Thank you for forgiving me, Monique, and I appreciate the help there. Yeah, Rusev and Daniel Bryan have had, run-ins over in WWE, so it'll be interesting to see them rekindle that and see what kind of match they have and how it compares to the last match they had together in WWE. Let's put them side by side, see if they do any similar spots. I think it'll be fun. Sorry, I'm just reading some comments here, see if there's anything I want to answer. Oh yeah. They could add some tournament matches. Marcus is right. That's an interesting match in that tournament. I wish I could find the bracket, but I do know that Ruby Soho is taking on Chris Statlander. That's an interesting match. So if they put that on the pay-per-view, I'd be totally into that. That's going to be good. I like matches like that because they haven't worked before. I mean, maybe they've crossed paths on the indies. I don't know. But in terms of where they are in their careers and stuff, kind of be like a fresh match to see. I'm into that one. It's probably one of the more attractive ones on the entire bracket. I agree with Ratnick. I think next week on Dynamite, AEW should put Punk and Eddie Kingston in a tag team match together to see if they can coexist. And make that the headline of Dynamite. Can Punk and Eddie coexist? I'd probably say no, based on what we saw on Friday, or last night, I should say. Yep, that's what WWE considers compelling television. Can they coexist? Yeah, Owen Cup tournament is going to be the next tournament, at least in AEW. Who knows what WWE will do? Tiddlywinks tournament or something like that. Kevin Owens going to debut and win the Owen Hart Cup. It depends on when the Owen Hart Cup is. It's going to have to be 90 days after whatever contract date Kevin Owens has, whatever expiration date, I should say, Kevin Owens has. So if Kevin Owens' deal is up in December, you run it in late March, he can be in there. Like I said yesterday, too, one of the names that was released by WWE this past week was Harry Smith, son of the British Bulldog. I would love to see him not win the tournament, but be in the tournament. He doesn't have to win it, but just having him there, I think would be really cool, especially if he lost to a babyface, maybe not a heel. Put Harry Smith in the ring with Bryan Danielson and have Bryan Danielson win and beat him or something, and just show respect, hug, maybe get on the mic. Your uncle. What the fuck is he to Harry? I think he's his uncle-in-law, something like that. Owen Hart was very inspirational to my career. I patterned a lot of what I do after him, especially that missile dropkick from the top rope. And it was an honor to be in the ring with you. Love your family. Fist bump. It would make Greg cry. So I kind of want to see Harry Smith in the tournament. Tony Khan, if you're watching, I know you are, call up Harry Smith and put him in that Owen Hart tournament. Would you? Be a pal. Thank you. And I'll be expecting that check in the mail in just a couple days. Thanks. Oh, shit. You're right, Bruce. Bruce and Monique have pointed out how stupid I am. If his contract expires, there is no 90-day. Aha. See? Look at there. If y'all weren't here, I don't know how this podcast would even function. December to March. So, yeah, that's right. I always kind of conflate that. I sometimes forget there is a difference between being released and your contract actually being up. When your contract is up, you can show up the next fucking day. So, hell yeah, that really changes things. Hopefully, WWE will not try to suck Kevin Owens into any sort of an extension like they did to Adam Cole to try to fuck with AEW. Hopefully, Kevin Owens will see through that and say, no, go F yourself. I am out of here. Cannot wait for him to go. And we'll check on him on Survivor Series. You all want to place your bets? Kevin Owens, first one eliminated? I think he will be. Yeah, I really don't like to speculate when people could lose their jobs. But when you look at names that WWE releases, sometimes you just have to look at names that are like them, okay? Like, how long is it going to be before they release them? And you do have people like Robert Stone, Danny Burch, Drew Gulak there that could easily be let go. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Although Natalya and R-Truth, I hold out hope that they could keep their jobs. Natalya, just with her family history, I give Natalya a lot of shit, but at the end of the day, she's a good, solid hand with a lot of experience, and they don't want to get into this routine of just routinely firing wrestlers when they start firing women's wrestlers when they start approaching 40 years old. As far as I know, Shayna Baszler and Tamina are the only ones that are over the age of 40 there, and Natalya is getting closer. But like I said yesterday, as long as you can work, if you can work on a high level when you're 88, I say wrestle until you're 88. I don't give a shit as long as you can do it physically. So I would hope that Natalya, even though I hate her outfits and sometimes she annoys me like crazy, I certainly don't want her to get let go. And R-Truth, I think should be fucking president, not getting released from WWE. So I think Vince should always hang on to R-Truth. I know he loves him, like Monique says. And I don't want him to go anywhere. Alexa being let go? I don't know. I don't know about her. I feel like she could potentially stick around, although I think she's been a little bit vocal about some of the things she's been disappointed about as well. We'll see. I think at the next batch of releases, you're going to have, like yesterday, you're going to have a lot of names where you're like, oh, okay, I guess I can kind of understand. And then you're going to have some names that you're like, holy shit. So, yeah. I mean, at this point, nobody is safe. I would never sit here and say, oh, that person's not going to get released, because look who they're releasing. Look who they've released in the past 2 years. Lots of big names that we thought had jobs for life. I always thought Braun Strowman was going to be WWE for life. Big Show 2.0, there for 20 years, just doing largely the same shit. Heel, babyface, heel, babyface, heel, babyface. That's it. And then he'll retire and go in the Hall of Fame, and that'll be it. And they let him go. Bray Wyatt, same thing. Nia Jax, she only has a job because she's The Rock's cousin. So nobody's safe except for Roman. I think Roman is the only lone guy on the roster that is safe. Other than that, maybe the people who currently are the world champions and maybe John Cena. I don't think we're going to see WWE releases John Cena anytime soon. Not that he's really tied to them that hard anyway. But if they did, you damn well bet Tony Khan will pay John Cena some money. So, yeah. We'll see what happens next year. Hopefully that's it, though. And we got the holidays coming up. I mean, at least with this batch of releases, it was a couple of months before, like Christmas time and holidays and stuff. WWE, if they, 1 week before Christmas, if they release 20 people, I'm going to lose my mind. So they better just cool it for the rest of the fucking year. And if they want to do any more budget cuts, just save that stuff for 2022. I liked Jesse Camilla as well. Dana Brooke is one that should be released. I think Dana Brooke and her boyfriend should be awarded millions of dollars. Any word on whether her MMA boyfriend has gotten out of jail? If not, I would like to pay his legal fees and post his bail if it would be all right. Apparently, he found the address of a Twitter troll or an online troll, went to his house and beat the shit out of him, which a lot of gutless, spineless little jerk-offs deserve that, and I loved it. I don't condone violence, but I do condone that violence. That's awesome. If I ever run into a troll, I'll sock him in his big snot locker too. Oh, Nakamura and Asuka. Hopefully not either. I was a little worried because the funny thing is I was watching those releases the other day in real time. Asuka was on my mind. I was like, I'm going to see her name any minute, Asuka. But no, Asuka is still there as for now. No, Bruce, again with this, so many people says this. No, we don't all realize this. I don't know why every time people get released, they think they're setting up for a sale. I said this yesterday. If WWE was going to sell the company to Disney or ESPN, they were going to do so with or without these 18 wrestlers. It's not like ESPN's like, okay, we'll buy the company from you, but you're going to have to release 18 wrestlers. No, this chump change. It's going to affect their bottom line or they're micromanaging, their profits and stuff. But if a sale is coming, I don't think it's directly tied to releases. The company is probably positioning the company in general to be sold. Obviously, there's a drastic change in philosophy to where 3 years ago they went from hoarding talent to now getting a slimmer roster. That's just because of the changes they're making to their business model. Really, if they are going to sell, yes. But every time somebody's released, they're selling. They could have sold the company with all these wrestlers on the roster. Nia Jax could still be there and the company could still get sold. I do agree with Bruce that I feel like there's some evidence there for a sale. But Bruce, what you're saying, people have said during all 4 or 5 of the big batch releases we've gotten in the 2 years. You've said that every time. The stale still hasn't happened. So I don't think that's necessarily the case. And, you're setting up, for the next 3 years, WWE selling. That's what I agree with. I think maybe in the upcoming years, yes, a sale seems likely. Vince is getting older. It doesn't seem like the succession to him is as strong as it was before. Oh, the company's just going to transfer over to Stephanie and Triple H. And now you got Nick Khan there to kind of run the business side of things or whatever. It does appear like they are, putting things together. So I'm sorry, Bruce, I didn't see that you were saying like the next 3 years. But what I heard from everybody, and I saw so many times on Twitter yesterday, they released all these guys to free up money so they could sell the company. Like, no, that's not happening. But in the next few years, a sale somewhere would not surprise me at all. You're probably right. I know, Bruce, that's what we talked about yesterday. I mean, that's the fucked up part about it. And I'm glad you don't watch WWE anymore. If I didn't have this podcast, I wouldn't be watching it either. But that's how far up their own asses this company is they can be on a earnings call. Stephanie can even crack jokes like, I've got some bad news to report. The Miz got eliminated, and then minutes later, they just end the careers of nearly 24 of their wrestlers and just cast them aside like it's nothing. And all of these wrestlers' failures were self-inflicted by WWE. They did all of this. They ruined them and then fired them. And that is just what's so goddamn mind-boggling and just crazy about this whole situation is just how horribly bad and just terrible and ignorant this company has gotten at their job from a creative television sense when they used to be so goddamn good at it. And if they could just apply that same type of energy into the micromanaging of their money and their bottom line and their profits, if they could put that much love into their creative, we might actually get some decent television from time to time. But no, this company is more ass backwards than it has ever been, and I've never been less of a WWE fan than I am right here today in 2021. It's very, very, very hard to continue to support these assholes, especially now that we have competition for the first time in our lives. And we have a company out there that so far is not acting like a giant sack of shit. Now, I'm not going to say that down the road things change, wrestling landscapes change. AEW might grow, AEW might start putting different people in charge, or might start changing their business model a little bit, or how they do things, and things could maybe down the road deteriorate and they could be a mess and go out of business. Who knows? But at least for right now, it feels like they're doing a hell of a lot more right than they are wrong. And in terms of which company, if I'm a wrestler, which company is more attractive to work at, I am calling AEW first. I think any wrestler is calling AEW first at some point, because even if it's your lifelong dream to work for WWE, do you really want to go there and have them jerk you around and hold an independent contractor hostage for years, do nothing with you, and even when you find something that works, they take it away and strip you of it and don't use you and then fire you and claim you were hard to work with? I'm going to go over there and work for Tony Khan, to where I know if I've got a serious fucking problem, he's going to take care of me. So if I'm a wrestler, I'm not even considering calling those monkeys in WWE. I'm calling the other guys first, and I'll use WWE as a fallback. I will use WWE to get myself some money. If I'm a wrestler, the only reason I'm going to WWE is for money, not to satisfy some stupid childhood dream, not to main event WrestleMania, not to be around Vince McMahon, to make money. Use them for money and get out. That's all they are worth. And that's all that's, they're not worth doing anything more with. So WWE just sucks. Anyway, I got to get out of here because I got to go to work. Busy day for me today. Thank you again for everyone who was here hanging out this afternoon. Like I said, no watch along tomorrow and no Raw review on Monday. Maybe you'll get me prior to Wednesday, but as of right now, the next video will be Wednesday for the Dynamite Watch Along, and we will probably bust out AEW Full Gear predictions that same night as well before we head into AEW Full Gear weekend. Next weekend, it's going to be fun. 1 week from tonight, after Full Gear, we'll be up for a full show review. So you guys have a good rest of your day, good rest of your weekend. Hit the thumbs up button on the way out the door, and I will catch you guys Monday night